Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at some of the top performing stocks from today. Okay, so first up is INSP, closed up nearly 22% today, so this is on a blue sky breakout. This started trading back here in May. That was the first trading day of the entire history of the stock. This is the whole history of the trading of the stock, and then you can see today it broke out higher. It broke out above high close horizontal resistance, which was the closing price up here on this white candle, yeah, right there. And so the close above is signaling more upside potential. Now it's on what we call a blue sky breakout. There's no overhead resistance except for what's happening in this upper wick on today's candle. And so you can see that here on the 15-minute chart. You can see after the big flag pull, the first candle of the day, it wound tight here. It's got this ascending triangle type of pattern going on with horizontal resistance going across here around 45.50. There was a close above the opening close here at 130, and so if INSP can close back above that 130 close, it should signal it wants to head higher. If it dropped below that middle Bollinger Band at 44.67, that would signal the run is cooling down. Okay, take a look at APRN, closed up nearly 11% today. Blue Apron's having a nice day. It has a really strong uptrend going. You know, it seems like ever since Kevin O'Leary said that he bought this stock for that contest on CNBC, it's just been heading higher ever since. It's been doing what we call filling the jar. So you can see it worked its way back up here to this February resistance level, and today there was a close above, and so that is signaling more upside potential. If it can stay above this 370 resistance zone, this high close from February, then it should work its way back up here to the high close in December. That would put it up here around 450. So stay above this 370, and it should be able to work its way back up to 450. It should be able to fill the jar back up to this prior resistance level. Okay, so if it were to drop below the 200-day simple moving average at 331 and the middle Bollinger Band at that same level, that would signal downside risk. Right now, with those levels holding, it signals more upside potential. Okay, take a look at MTSL, closed up 143% today. It had that dip at the open. It pulled down and it tested the red and blue lines. That's the 200 and 300-day simple moving averages. It was able to stay above both levels intraday and pushed higher, so that was good to see for the bulls. This was a very strong move. You can see it started down here below yesterday's open or close, so there was no gap up open today. The key right now is for the daily chart is to stay above this 185 level. It would be a red flag if it dropped back below. Also want to see it stay above this 240 level. That was this high close from January. So today was the highest close in 2018. Right now it's hitting this December 2018 resistance level. It has to close above 280 to head higher. If you see it trading above 280, that should signal that it's pushing higher. If it struggles to get above 280, that would be a red flag, and definitely a red flag if it drops below 240. If you look here at the MTSL 15-minute chart, you can see it was all over the place today. Had some wild swings. Had the big push at the open, then it pulled all the way back. It held at the EMA 13 here, the orange line, but then it broke down again into the close, only to bounce and run higher. So this was, if you're a day trader, this gave you a lot of opportunities to jump in and out. Right now, the big level is to make a new high close, and so that's the closing price here at 1045. It has to bust through this 305 to 310 resistance level to head higher. If it failed to break that level and then drop below that middle Bollinger Band at 221, that would signal the run is cooling down. Okay, take a look at BDR. This was alerted last week. It finally made a bullish move today, closed up 24%. Last week it made our radar when it was over here breaking above the middle Bollinger Band and back above that green line, the 50-day simple moving average, currently at 110. And so it took a couple days for it to turn that level into support, and then finally today it pushed higher. The close above this June 1st closing price is signaling more upside potential. It needs to stay above that level. If it can stay above, this closing price on June 4th will be the next target, right up here around 162. Failed to break this level when tested, could signal a temporary top. If it closed above, that would be the signal that it wanted to keep pushing higher. So right now, you can see the Bollinger Bands were super tight. It's breaking out to the upside. It had a PSAR bull flip, had a nice volume spike. You have got the MACD bull crosses on both time frames, and BDR has a history of being able to put together some multi-day runs, so we'll see if it can follow through tomorrow. Okay, let's look at BLIN. Closed up nearly 79% today. Yeah, this had the dreaded black candle. The open was up here at 290. It ran all the way up to 270, and then it pulled all the way back. Unfortunately, it did close below that 300-day simple moving average at 240. These were all lock and gain signals, sell signals, avoid signals. When you get the black candle after a gap up open above the upper Bollinger Band, the upper Bollinger Band is way down here at 177. And then also if it breaks above the 300 simple moving average and then drops back below, those are all signals that the chart could break down further. Right now, it needs to hold that 200-day simple moving average at 214. If that failed to hold, the candles could work back into the bands and test that 100-day simple moving average down here at 170. That level was tested today. Now, if it pushed back above 240, that's going to signal upside potential. So above 240 signals upside potential, below 240 signals downside risk, and really big downside risk if 214 support broke. If you look here at the BLIN weekly chart, you can see the key levels that are being broken and that need to be broken to head higher. There's a break above the middle Bollinger Band at 170 this week. Also a break above the green line. That's the 50-week moving average at 219. A weekly close above that level would be bullish. The last close above that level was back here in 2017. The next key level to break is going to be this 100-week moving average at 282. You have to go off this chart. It's been years since there's been a close above the 100-week moving average. If there was a close above that level, that would be extremely bullish. That would be a change in trend, and that would signal it wants to head higher. Fail to break this 50 or 100-week moving average levels would signal the lock in gains, just like they did on the other times that this zone was tested. Notice that this time there's huge volume behind the move compared to previous years. So we'll see if this is finally the time that BLN breaks out higher, or if it just repeats history and forms a long upper wick on this week's candle. Okay, look at USAU here. Closed up 23%. This thinly traded stock is heating up. It closed yesterday above the 50-day simple moving average at 131. That was the bull signal. It closed above that level in May, but it failed to stay above and it pulled back. And so today, that second close above that level is signaling more upside potential. It broke above the 100 and 200-day simple moving averages. Now that 200-day simple moving average at 163 is the key level to stay above. If it can stay above that level, then we look for a run possibly up to that 300-day simple moving average at 208. If it dropped below 163, you could see that 100-day simple moving average tested. It's going to be a big level to break is around 190 here. You can see there's this tight trading range between 175 and 190, and so that's going to be a big zone to bust through tomorrow. Okay, let's look at RXII. The stock is heating up as well. Closed up 20% today. Now it's hitting the 50-day simple moving average. It did close above the middle Bollinger Band today, so that was a good step. It also closed above EMAs 4, 8, and 13. The close above all four of these lines is signaling, a possible start of a new uptrend. Now you don't want to get too excited because back here you could see it keeps getting above the middle Bollinger Band, failing to hold, and the downtrend continues. So right now this is a start, but to really get moving, it has to get above the green line. That's the 50-day simple moving average. The last close above that level was way back here on March the 26th. So if it can close above that 50-day simple moving average or break above intraday tomorrow, look for a possible run up to that 100-day simple moving average at 279. If it fails to get above that 50-day simple moving average, that's going to signal more consolidation. Notice the PSAR bull flip today. The green dots flip below the candles. You've got MACD bull crosses on both time frames. There was a bullish volume spike. I mean, everything is lined up on this chart right now. There was a bull cross on ADX. You have RSI just closed above 50. Fasto is now above 50. I mean, everything is signaling that this chart could take off, but it has to break that 228 resistance zone. Okay, let's look at GBR here. Closed up 18%. Now, this stock is in an uptrend on the daily chart, and it had a big pullback. it got ahead of itself here on this first candle in July. Notice how this whole candle formed above that purple line. That's the upper Bollinger Band. When that happens, many times the candles work back into the bands. That theory was proven correct once again when this red candle formed. And then now it came back and it held EMA 13 at 349. As long as that level holds, that is the reload zone. Now it's having trouble right now with EMA's 4 and 8 resistance. It has to get above $4. It has to get above EMA 4 at 401 to push higher. If that level remains resistant, you could see it work its way back down to the middle Bollinger Band at 260. Once it turns EMA 4 back into support, that's when it could get moving again. It could test this $5 resistance zone and possibly work back up to that upper Bollinger Band. Okay, take a look at PKD here. Closed up 17% today. So this was a nice multi-day run. It's been up 3 days in a row. It was quietly creeping on low volume. Notice how it got above the middle Bollinger Band a couple weeks ago. You know, it shook people out on this really light volume. You know, it's trying to test this middle Bollinger Band support at 37. It all held, and then today was the payoff. You know, it finally followed through today. Sometimes it takes a couple days for these charts to set up, and so the key when it's setting up and trying to turn a level into support is that level holds. That close back above the middle Bollinger Band on Friday was your clue that it was still in play, and then it had a nice follow through yesterday, and then today there was also a break above this high close horizontal resistance level from the top of this candle, and so this is all signaling more upside potential. Okay, so it broke out of this previous channel, and then now it also closed above that 50-day simple moving average at 463. So that was a bullish close. If it could stay above that level, then it could possibly work its way back up to that 100-day simple moving average at 60. Now, if it dropped below that 50-day simple moving average, that would signal it's not quite ready to go. And what you want to see is this prior resistance level turn into support. You don't want to see it drop back below 41. Okay, look at MCEP, another stock that closed above resistance, closed up 12% on light volume, but this was a technically bullish close today. Same setup. Notice how it got above the middle Bollinger Band, just like the same stock here in the same sector. You know, it got above the middle Bollinger Band, and then it turned the level into support, and then today it busted out higher. It took a few days to set up, but today was the payday. It got above that gold line, which is the 100-day simple moving average at 173, and it also closed above the green line at 185. If it could stay above that 185 level, that's going to signal it wants to push higher. You can see here the upper Bollinger Band's hooking up and the lower Bollinger Band's hooking down. That's a signal that the stock is trying to break out. Now, if it dropped below that 185 level, you could see the 100-day simple moving average at 173 tested. It's really, you know, the best now that it stays above the 50-day simple moving average, similar to back here in April when it got above, a really nice run followed. So we're going to see if MCEP can follow through. Take a look at TGC here, closed up 15%. So this has a nice uptrend going as well. It was another one of those closed well above the upper Bollinger Band. Candles worked back into the bands. Once again, the theory is proven correct. When you get above those upper Bollinger Band, you know that it's a signal that the stock is getting ahead of itself. You know, that's your signal to lock in some gains and then look for a reload lower. You always try to reload off these moving averages. You have to wait and see which one holds. This time EMA 8 held at 103. Okay, so yesterday people loaded off that level and today it pushed higher. Notice how it's back above the pink line. It's back above EMA 4. So now TGC is firing on all cylinders. It's super bullish. It's trading above all the moving averages on the chart. Now it just needs to keep riding the EMA 4 at 111 higher, and that signals to keep riding. The next big resistance zone, it's got to bust through this upper Bollinger Band at 128, and then you have this high close from back here on the second day of July at about 151, 152 right there. That's going to be the big level. It's going to need to close above that level for the signal it wants to keep pushing higher. Another energy sector stock to look at is EGY. This had a nice breakout today. You know, this is just showing that it pays to stick with the trade. Notice how this has been in a really strong uptrend since the middle Bollinger Band turned into support back here in April. You know, it gets sideways and then it breaks out higher again. You know, it got in a sideways channel here, and then today the break above high close resistance from June is signaling more upside potential. Now you want to see it stay above that 290 level. As long as it stays above 290, it should keep pushing higher. You know, it's riding EMA 4 at 295 support above every single moving average. This is as bullish as it gets. You know, it's breaking out to that next level. You know, you got to check out the weekly chart to find the next key resistance levels. We have identified that in the chat, so come check out the chat if you'd like to see where what level this needs to break next. And then here, check out JONE for the final stock in this video. Closed up nearly 7% today. like I was saying, sometimes you have to let the chart set up. It's the same thing for ticker symbol GST here. So it got above that middle Bollinger Band, it pulled back. It's still working on turning the middle Bollinger Band into support. As long as 37 holds, that's going to signal that it could break out higher. Now we're looking for a break above high close resistance. Okay, you notice how this is very similar to the other energy sector stocks I just showed you that were breaking the middle Bollinger Band. And so once it breaks above this high close here, that's going to signal it wants to head higher, and then we'll be looking for a run up to that 50-day simple moving average at 50. That's the next target as long as 37 holds. If it breaks out above 42, that should be your clue that it's ready to possibly head up to that 50-cent level. Okay, thanks for viewing this video. If you'd like to learn more about charts and technical analysis, come check out the chat. I'll post the link below the video. Thank you.